Hey guys, it's TaysGreenLife with, is it Taurus? Taurus?
Yeah. Yes, Taurus.
And who's your lovely lady sitting next to you?
I'm his wife. My name's Rose.
It's good to have you guys. So what are we interviewing you about today? Like, what do you do for the community?
We do a lot of promoting for a lot of bands locally in our area out here in Texas, as well as a lot of the national bands that are coming through on tours. Anybody that's just trying to get out there, try to get their name out there a little bit. We work with a lot of bands that are trying to up and come, that are just kind of getting started in the scene, maybe start to get traveling around a little bit, trying to get them more exposure out there.
Do you work with mostly local bands or do you work with any of the big bands that come through?
It's kind of a mix of a little bit of everything. We haven't got like some of the bigger A-lister style bands yet, like the Disturbs or anything like that. But we've definitely started working with a lot of the support bands that have actually worked with
Yeah.
those guys quite a bit.
Okay, cool. So you are located in Texas. What area are you located in?
We're actually based out of Abilene, which is right on I-20, just west of Dallas by about 2 hours.
Okay, cool. What kind of things would you say you do for the Texas scene?
Bringing in a lot of stuff that's not really from around this area for the most part. This area has a real big scene as far as the real heavy metal stuff, kind of the metalcore, black metal.
Mhm.
And we're trying to bring in a little bit different style of stuff that's out there that usually doesn't get out here a whole lot, but people like to go to the shows to. More of alternative rock, pop rock, things of that nature as well.
All right. And do you have any events coming up?
We've actually got several bigger events that we've got coming up. In 2 weeks, we've got a band coming in out of Phoenix, Arizona called Show Me God. They're a lot like Rob Zombie, Slipknot kind of a mix. So that's going to be a real fun show for us. A couple of weeks after that, we've actually got a couple guys I think you're familiar with coming out here. The Plan and Artusia is going to be coming out here and doing a little tour with us. So that's going to be a fun little set.
Yes, those are my homies. My editor is actually the drummer of the band.
uh,
So it's gonna be great. He's a cool dude. Yeah, they're all cool dudes. They work really hard, and yeah, I think you guys would enjoy having them.
yeah, we've got them set up in a couple spots already, working on a couple more for them.
That's good.
Then we've got the week after that, we've got some guys coming in out of Jacksonville, Florida, Out of Darkness, and we're helping with their tour all the way out to the Apocalypse the Desert Festival.
Oh yeah, that's cool. There was another Virginia band, RV&T, who's been in Texas a couple times too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a run, and they are also cool guys. They are located like in Southern Virginia near like the beach.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean they don't come to Richmond as often, but we consider them Richmond. Also Bad Omens, two of the the lead singer and the bassist came from Richmond, and then you have Lamb of God, and yeah, who they actually still live here. I forgot his name. I think it's one of the members. They have like a sandwich shop here,
Oh,
and
really?
his wife owns a sandwich shop, and sometimes he'll just be there randomly.
That's cool.
That's kind of cool, actually.
um, what made you want to get into something like this to promote bands?
We've kind of always been around the local scene in this area, got to know a lot of the local bands and stuff. And we did a benefit last year where we did 10 bands on the stage in one day to help out with the veterans for the VFW out here. And we got through with that, and everybody said, no, you guys have been helping out everybody, so why not start just doing it and start getting your name out there, making some connections and doing it on the side. I was like, everybody thinks that we can do it, then we're going to go for it.
Yeah.
And we've been doing it for a little over a year now, and we've got a roster of approximately 90 bands across the U.S. and 2 that are overseas that we're working with, along with several comedians, and that list just keeps growing bigger and bigger every week, it seems like.
Yeah.
I understand that. I've only had my podcast for almost a year now. And like I'm on season 2, and now like I'll make one post and then let me get on. I have to be like I have to be picky and choosy a little bit. Because I mean, I'm trying to get the people that are kind of like have the higher, the ratings and have the higher cloud in Richmond. And like now I consider myself like part of the scene. Like people know me, and it's weird. I'll be walking around and someone will be like, "You're Tay," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Taylor." That's my podcast. Yeah, that's pretty cool too. I think it's cool like meeting people and doing things for people.
Yeah.
In the metal scene, like people think we're so like horrible and angry and mean, and I'm like,
I understand. I grew up in the punk rock world, so
yes.
well, a lot of bad things to say about punk rock. I'm like, no.
Yeah. What are some things you would love to tell the younger generation about things to do this, like how to do this business?
Biggest thing is make sure you have some connections to start with. You don't have any connections, you're going to be hurting to try to get anywhere. And the other big thing I would say on that is don't expect to get anywhere fast. We've been kind of lucky with it because of the bands we had connections with, and it kind of just blew up from there. Don't expect to make, especially your first couple of years doing it, don't expect to be making a real good chunk of cash out of it, because it's not going to be there when you first start off. You're probably going to be negative for the first little while you're doing it, paying it out of your own pocket, going, that's what I really want to do. But if it's something you want to do and you're passionate about music, go for it. You got to be selective how you start off. You don't want to start off dropping $3,000-$4,000 on shows when you don't have it. You got to build it up a little bit, build up reputation, build up that money a little bit. That way you can bring in the stuff that you want to be able to do and work with.
Yeah, and take risks. I believe that's one thing you have to do. You just have to do it and like hope for the best. Like, oh, let me just throw everything I got into it and see what happens by taking the risk.
And it is a big risk doing it because you never know what's going to happen from week to week, show to show that you do. You just never know.
I mean, sometimes I have interviews where I'm just like, I just can't connect, and I'm just trying so hard, and I still just do it because like there are people out there you won't connect with, and there are people that you will connect with, and it's just you got to do what you got to do sometimes, And there's some people that are bad, but you still have to be like positive and just like hope that like what you're doing is good. And that
exactly. Luckily, we haven't ran into a whole lot of that on our side of it. Yeah. Thank God. But it's that's the way it has to go. That you've got to be able to connect with people. You've got to be able to know how to talk with people and things like that, especially on this side of it, to be able to communicate with them and get done what you're trying to achieve to get done.
And like the little people matter too. Like people like us who want to like help out these people. Like they don't ask us for anything, and we're just like, you know what? Let me help you out just a little bit. Let me give you my free time and like, let me help you, because without that support, a lot of people couldn't like do this. We can't do things without promoters, people who interview the bands, give them exposure and stuff like that. And like, we matter just as much as the bands,
Yes,
exactly. And I think a lot of people forget that even some of the bigger bands that are out there, they all started off small. They just didn't all of a sudden just go into a studio and boom, now they're selling multi-million records across the world and touring all over the world. They had to get started somewhere as well. And if somebody didn't take a chance on them, they probably wouldn't be where they're at today.
No.
Yeah.
So somebody's got to step up, and my thought process is work with the smaller guys, because you never know where those guys are going to get to, especially guys that have talent.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many people blow those guys off and don't even want to give them a chance to do anything. And that's just wrong in all aspects. Like I said, the bigger bands wouldn't be anywhere if it wasn't for the guys giving people chances.
Mm-hmm. This is correct. Like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't interview someone from Texas who was like, oh, I know a few people. Like, girl, Kate, I love her. She's so great.
We
I look up to her, honestly. Because she's really cool, and she's so motivated and positive, and I love that. And that's something like I want to see. I want to see more women too, doing very empowering things. And it does make me happy. You are also, Rose, you are also helping them out and talking to these bands.
Well, I get off like I make flyers and I go to concerts.
You still better.
All the major work. Like I know music. I've been in the music business most of my life. I was in 2 different bands. We were on record label and stuff like that. But I don't know, like I got COPD and I haven't been in the music scene for a long time, and it's bothered me. I miss that. I miss being a part of the music scene. So when he said he wanted to do this, I was so freaking happy. And I'm creative. So he was like, well, can you make me a flyer? I had no clue what I was doing, but I made a flyer and I've been doing it ever since.
I learned how to edit. That was like one of the hardest things because like I am very hard on myself. I critique myself so hard, and then I have to listen to the same sentence and edit it for like 10 minutes straight. And I'm like, oh my God, please stop. And that's why I was like, let me see if I can get help, someone who is willing to help me. And that's important too, like showing support and helping everyone out because you want to build a community. And that's all I'm about. Like you guys, just because you're in like Texas doesn't mean anything. You'll come through Virginia eventually, some of the bands you have promoted, and like it's bound to happen that maybe, I come out in Texas and show up, maybe. Well,
if you do, I promise you, we've got a lot of stuff coming through that we haven't even announced yet because we want to kind of give it more of a shock factor when they come through, because some of these guys are just going to completely shock everybody out here. It's kind of like I was saying with Show Me God coming out here. I don't think this area's ever had a band like these guys coming out. It's going to be kind of like the same thing, I think, with Out of Darkness. I don't think anybody's seen or heard the way they kind of do stuff on stage and their cool sound. So it's going to be quite interesting this next year because we've got connections to quite a few other promotions as well, and we're helping them out. So it's just it's going to be a big year for us.
That's cool. I'm like excited. There's Gideon is coming to the Canal Club, and I'm super excited about that because Gideon is just a lot of women like Gideon. I found this out, and I'm super excited because having
I don't even know who it is.
They're one of my favorites, and this band too, Upon a Burning Body. I have the flag and everything right over here. You can't really see it, but it's Texas flag. Yeah. I would like to see them too, like that's super exciting. Like I don't know all the bands that have come from Texas, but like the bands that do come from Texas are like, they're completely different than what is like normally out here. There's a certain type of punk metal out here, and then you have this Texas bands that come out here and you're like, we've never heard metal like this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is out here. Everybody, especially when somebody else calls me up and says, hey, we got somebody coming through. Can you put them with them? I'm like, possibly, but they're probably going to be a lot harder than what those guys are used to playing with, because that's just the scene that's out here. It's a lot heavier. It's a lot harder. Prime examples of that are guys, like Pantera. Drowning Pool is actually quite a bit harder than a lot of people think they actually are when you actually break down a lot of their stuff instead of stuff that's just on the radio that you hear. It's just weird because some people just like, oh my God, what is this? Never heard anything like this before. I don't know if we can handle this. It's like, that's just what it's like out here. And a lot of people love it. A lot of people show up to the shows for it, but at the same time, it's kind of like what you're saying, that they want something a little bit different every once in a while. It's nice to bring in the different stuff.
Yes, like the Canal Club, they it's been around for a while, and they cater to like everything. They have like Shrek raves, they have like EDM nights, emo nights, and then they have metal nights, and like it's crazy. Like they have so many, and big bands come to the Canal Club like all the time. And I think Pierce the Veil, if you guys know who Pierce the Veil is, they sold out the Canal Club like in 12 minutes. And the Canal Club is not that big of a venue either, so it was insane. And it's just like, now you kind of have to cater to the younger generation now. Like some of the older metal's starting to not be interesting to the younger people, which I mean is sad because you got to start somewhere. And like, and the younger generation's different. They're just completely different. They don't care about it the same way. Like, for instance, you guys do, or my generation, because I'm a little bit younger. It's all different, and now like they're making it cool. Metal is cool. Metal is what is in right now, and I'm going to, you know, dress in gothic gear and like pretend that I didn't bully someone in high school for doing the same thing, you know. And the scene now is just different than what it used to be.
It is, and the weird thing that I find about it is they always want to put down kind of like the older school metal and stuff like that, but a lot of the stuff that's going on with the new metal is old metal that's revised. It's in a different time or a different key. That's all it is. And people don't realize that. I mean, kind of a prime example, what was it, 6 or 7 years ago, and I can't remember the name of the song, but somebody took part of Ozzy Osbourne's song and turned it into a hip hop song, and everybody thought
Post Malone.
It's gonna make Ozzy famous. Like, guy's been around since '65.
Yes,
don't make him famous.
It's literally like, I was like, are you serious right now?
And what told me about that is the people that think that that was their music, and I'm like, no, that was Ozzy. They're like, no, they wrote that. I'm like, no, you need to know your music.
Ozzy Osbourne. What was it? MGK invented punk, and I was like, no. I can't stand MGK. I hate him. I'm like, why is he famous right now?
He likes trying to pick on people he probably shouldn't. This is where I'm going to leave that
at. So we did talk about the younger generation. Is there anybody you think might want to join the podcast? Anybody you would recommend who would, you know, want to view it or join? So, and also other people can look up from watching this.
Well, I mean, it's kind of ironic you say that because I was speaking with the guys from Out of Darkness about an hour and a half before we got on here. They're like, let us know when it's coming out. We want to be able to share it out. We want to be able to put it out there and everything like that. We'd love to even actually get on there and do a session with her. We can get the band together and do it. And
yes. I've actually, I think I've met them. I think I talked to them at one point. There's so many like bands in the scene right now, and like I try to keep up with everybody, but sometimes it's hard. But I think I have talked to them. A lot of bands will be like, "Oh yeah, I've seen your stuff," and I'm like, "My stuff? Like, you guys have seen my interview?" Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, I would love to have them. That's cool.
And I get the same thing, kind of like what you're talking about. It was 3 weeks ago. I got a phone call from some guys out of LA wanting to bring their stuff through here. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Where'd you find me from? And
how did you find me?
It's like, well, we just heard that if we want to come through Texas, you're kind of the person we need to talk to. So what can you do for us? I'm like, send me some of the music
I will be promoting. Yeah, I promote you. When people ask for Texas, I'm like, oh, I know 2 Texas people. And I just like tag you and Kate in it. And people are, now you got like followers from like Richmond looking into you guys. And like, it's cool. It's crazy how social media is, how it's run now. Like you could talk to someone like in Europe, like that now.
Yeah. And that's how it works. And some people are afraid to use social media for their advantage because they think it's bad. But in today's time frame, if you're not using social media in any way possible, then you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall to the wayside, and you're gonna disappear.
Literally, I hate like TikTok. I hate running. So I have a personal Facebook. That's the only thing I'm okay with having because of the memes. But now I have to have a band Facebook, and now a podcast Facebook, and now I have to have Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, and run my social media constantly. And I'm like, how do people do this every day? Like, and work a full-time job and like have good mental health. I'm like, it's crazy how social media.
Definitely taxing.
Yeah.
Because I'll just be sitting on there for 3 hours doing nothing. And then I'm like, oh my God, I just wasted 3 hours literally doing nothing on social media.
Yeah, I've had people look at me like, why are you always on your phone? I said, oh, I'm getting emails and texts and people reaching back out to me. I said, this is something I have to do whenever I've got free time. This is what I do.
My work gets so mad at me now because they're like, why are you always like taking week? Because I have like an every other weekend thing. And they're like, why do you always take weekends off? why are you always on your phone? Why are you always doing this? Why can't you just be an employee? And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I work the shift that most of the metalheads are up and through. So like I also work like 3 to 11 every day. So I'm literally constantly talking to people because that's when people are free, you know? They have day jobs. I wasn't lucky enough to get a day job. So I have to work a little bit different. Like you also are night shift
He
too.
actually works nights his other jobs. So
And I'm like, how do I do this? How do I interview people and talk to people and go out to shows and do all this while still trying to be like a corporate employee? And like, it's two personalities now, and it's insane.
yeah.
Yeah, you got to know when you got to find something that's the happy medium sometimes, and a lot of times that's really a pain to do. And that's something else people got to realize. It's guys who do like what we do, you know, promoting the podcast, even the bands. Most of those guys have regular jobs on the side.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't realize that. They think the bands, that's all they do is play music and that's it. And a lot of times that's not the case. Most of the bands, if they go on a tour, they're saved up vacation time to go on that tour. And then they have to come back and go right back to work. And I've seen venues get upset because, oh, we can't get them here during this time frame. Why can't you get them? They've got jobs.
Yeah.
You know, bands that are coming through, they're like, you know, why is it so hard to get bands on a show on certain dates? Because they've got jobs. It's not the fact they don't want to play, but
yes,
they've got to get to work the next morning. So it gets kind of taxing sometimes with stuff like that. And that goes all the way around the industry. It's not even on the musician side either. Comedians, magicians. I mean, I work with all those guys as well, and they all have day jobs as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes you get people that just don't understand that aspect of it, that this isn't their only thing. This is something that they love to do, and they're doing it because they love to do it. Doesn't mean it's paying the bill.
Yeah, like when people are like, someone made a comment because they were like, you're very arrogant when you're out in public about your business. And it just doesn't look good on you because, you know, you appear like you have all this money. I said, I wish I had the money everyone thinks I actually totaled my car 2 days before Thanksgiving. And I was at a red light and someone hit me. Yeah. And I was like struggling to get my car going. I had to buy like a piece of crap car, and the insurance companies just, they effed me over. So like I basically had to take a whole paycheck to like get a car. And now I'm like struggling to keep up, and I'm trying to do the podcast. I'm trying to get equipment, and like I'm so scared to start asking for donations and monetizing my podcast because I can't do this with no money. Like my computer, like I'm using a laptop right now. It doesn't look like it, but I am. I have like 7 ports that have like a bunch of cords in it right now. Like it's so bad. But you got to start somewhere, you know? Like you got to start somewhere. And once you get to that point, you'll be able to live comfortably and be able to afford to do your hobby.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I always try to stress to people, especially some of these newer guys. It's kind of weird because I understand, you know, a lot of people don't see all the practice hours they put in, the traveling hours they put in, the equipment they have to buy. All that stuff's very expensive. And you get some of these places, and I'm not trying to put down venues or anything like that, or these bands or anything. I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression of that. But whenever a venue wants to offer you only 50% of whatever the door is or something like that, you kind of look at it like, do you know what these guys are going through? I mean, people don't realize how much back-end prep there is. I mean,
literally.
Most of the time for a band to do a 45-minute show, they're practicing 3 or 4 times a week, weeks out, 3 and 4 hours at a time, putting in all that time and effort just to come out and do a 45-minute show. And people don't understand that side of it about the musicians or anything. They don't understand the back ends of prepping and getting everything ready to go for it. And some people see a $10 cover, they're like, why is it $10 for? There's only 3 bands here. We don't even know who they are. So you got to understand all the back end stuff that goes to it. And $10 isn't that much to go see 4 or 5 hours of live music.
And normally it's like $15 or $12 for some of the local shows. But if you have like the local bands jumping with like big like big headliners, it's normally like $20 to $30, and that's reasonable, you know. You know, you got the venue needs a cut, the band needs a cut, the bartenders need a cut, everyone who participated during that event needs a cut, and the more people that go and the more people that show up, the more like money these people are getting, and the scene gets better because you have the inside people taking care of it. You know, if you don't have that, then the venues are gonna suck, you know. Like
they are, and you know that's where some of these venues you got to understand that is, you know, you can't expect to get good quality in if you're not willing to do what you need to do when you're ending. Making sure you have the right bartenders in there, making sure your stuff is up to date and accurate and working properly. Because then all you're going to get is the bottom feeders that's going to go in there just because they want to go in there and make $20 or $30 for the weekend.
Literally, yeah.
So it all feeds together between, you know, promoters doing their job to make sure you're getting the right bands, the right venues, make sure the promotions are out there. Because it all takes money. It doesn't matter what it is, whether you're doing flyers or even social media payouts. It all takes money to get it all done.
Everything does in this world, honestly. Like, you can't do anything you love without taking like a cut from something in your life. Like, exactly. And people don't understand that. They're like, you look like you have it all together. I was like, if you really realize how hard it is to make it seem that way, like, it takes effort. And like, I can be very negative, like horribly negative to myself. And like when I'm in my moods, and people don't understand that I have to show like a positive persona like all the time. And sometimes I don't want to anymore. Like, I don't want to, like, on my days off from work, I also don't want to interview people, you know, because maybe I need that day for like myself. And sometimes I have to reschedule. And like, I don't want people to get mad at me, but it's just like sometimes you just can't do like 100 million things at once, you know, and sometimes you have to take that cut of something that you love, or a cut of your job, or a cut of a venue or anything to take time for yourself. And that's like important. And people don't understand that, especially with bands. They're tired. They're touring. They're tired. They sleep in a van every day. Like, imagine you sleeping in a van every day for like 3 weeks. Like, and
it's just not the van that they're sleeping. They half time they've got their gear in there, so they're sleeping on top of gear or something like that. And you know, those guys, you know, those guys need a break too. And some people just don't realize that. They think, oh, they just go up there, they're just playing for 45 minutes. I mean, what's the big deal? Go tour with some of these guys and you'll see if they don't have a tour bus or anything like that, you'll see some of these bigger guys, see what they have to go through. A lot of times they're sleeping in the vehicles that they're traveling in. And
so you get to shower as much as you'd like. You know? Your best friend's got the stinkiest feet in the world. Like,
literally. It's funny because I'm friends with like Artusha, and 2 of the members live together, and it's funny like hearing the stories and seeing like their footage, and them like 2 members being really sick, and they're like, we really want to go home, but we're still kicking it. And it's just crazy, like how much effort people have to put in and to just sleep in their van to do these events and shows because they want to make it. They want to do something with their lives other than working, you know?
Exactly. That's where we try to come in, is try to help those guys out in more ways than one. I mean, we've had guys come in from Mississippi. We opened up our house to them that way. They didn't have to go out and pay for hotel rooms. You know, they spent a week with us at the house, and we all had a great time with it. You know, real down to earth guys, real cool guys and everything. But that's part of where I think everybody has a disconnect as far as with the bands and everything, or anybody that's just traveling through. If you're doing something similar to what we're doing, help the guys out in a way maybe you're not thinking of, because that little gesture may be the biggest thing that they've had since they've been on tour. You know. Just that simple. I mean, support those guys in any way you can, because without them, we wouldn't have these venues. We wouldn't be having the concerts. Go out and support the people that are putting on the shows.
Literally, it's really not that hard. Like, if you can promote the biggest artists, you can promote the little ones too. The little ones gotta start somewhere too. And I loved talking to you guys. You guys are great. Everything you said to me has been very educational, and I think everyone will appreciate it. we're getting a little bit close to the end here. Is there anything you want anybody to know about you guys and what you do before we get out of here?
I mean, if anybody's trying to come through this way, or if you guys have any ideas, anybody that's watching about potential show or something you may want to see. I mean, we just don't work with the smaller guys. We do have connections with some of the A-lister bands and stuff like that. Reach out to us on our Facebook page, Steel Dragon Promotions on Facebook. Reach out to us. Let's see what we can get done for you.
Yes.
May not happen, but reach out to us.
You might know somebody that might help them, or you might be able to help them. Or like you don't know unless you talk to people, expand horizons.
Yeah, it's like a question I used to use all the time whenever I used to train people and stuff. The world's dumbest question is the one you don't ask. So if you're not asking, you never know.
You never know.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. And whether it's music or maybe comedians, I've got a couple of comedians that like to get out and travel and stuff, starting to work with some bigger name comedians on that level. Whatever it is, so whether you're opening a new venue and you want to do a grand opening, or you're a new band and you're trying to get some exposure or want some help with recording or something, we have connections to all that. So if there's anything we can do to help out some of the smaller artists that are out there trying to get out there, or venues or anything like that, feel free to contact us and we'll do whatever we can to help you out.
Yes. All right. I appreciate you guys being here. It was a pleasure. You guys, Steel Dragon Promotions, and what was it? First Steel Dragon Promotions on Instagram too? Was it first or?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Obviously I'll put everything in the descriptions. You guys have been a pleasure. And I hope to interview you again soon.